Kevin, how are you, my friend?
Doing well, doing well. Thank you for
Something's
asking.
Fishy. Man, talk about a perfect name for a show like this.
Right?
Yeah. And also, you're in 22nd Street Landing with your product, right?
I am. They're actually my flagship store now here.
Nice.
They were the first ones to give me a shot locally. I'm in a couple lodges in Alaska, but they're the first landing that I'm in, and I couldn't be more blessed that
Man.
this
So,
is just the start.
and I want to get into a little bit about you've lived around the world. I want to get into some of that with you, but let's talk about your product first of all. What
Sure.
is it? And for everybody out there who's listening, what is your product?
So I call it Something's Fishy. I invented it really to have a boat burger that tasted like a burger. I was over the squid and sardine and anchovy burger, and I don't eat fish. So I used to be a scuba instructor, and I found refuge on the sea, and well before the Salty Crew came out. And I had a dive accident or two, so I couldn't go do it anymore. So
What happened, by the way? Was it serious?
oh, I couldn't walk for a couple of weeks. I slipped off the top stair and landed on the bottom, and I was kept telling the captain he needs to put some sand and some paint on it or some grip tape or whatever. And
He probably told you to drink a few
Yeah,
less
exactly.
Bloody Marys, right?
Oh,
No,
yeah,
I'm only
exactly.
kidding.
And then
So that could have been really bad.
oh yeah, so I
Yeah.
thought I broke my back, and luckily I was in Thailand, and they don't know what regulations are with
Yeah, really.
pain pills or whatever. So
Whoopee.
yeah, so it got me through it for a couple of weeks, and then I had to get back on the horse and went diving,
Yeah.
and it wasn't right for me anymore.
Yeah.
So when I stopped doing that, I came home and I just was craving to be out on the water, and I was like, oh well, when I was a kid, I used to go fishing all the time. With my family,
Your
my
father?
yeah, my
He
dad and my
introduced you?
mom, and well, first it was my dad. When we moved to San Juan Capistrano as a kid,
Yeah.
it was kind of like Malibu in the 80s, 90s, where it was without the price.
Right.
So we moved there, and he wake me up at like 5 in the morning or something like that.
Get up, kid,
4:30
let's
in the
go.
morning. Yeah, I said, oh, where are we going? He's like, I'm gonna take you fishing.
And were you excited?
Yeah, I was like
right?
super stoked. I mean, at first I was like, "Why are you waking me up this early? Like,
Right.
I don't have school till." He's like, "Nope, you're playing hooky today."
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I was like, "I love you, Dad."
Yeah, right.
And, so we went out and hopped on the half day or the 3/4. I think it was the 3/4 day because it was bright and early in the morning, and we got into that and then bonded a bunch over that, and then I guess after a year or two living down here, everyone had boats, so he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go get a boat." Yeah, he didn't know how to turn a wrench, but he's like, I'm going to get a boat.
Yeah.
So we got a nice Sea Ray, a nice 30-plus footer, and we were out there cruising around from here to Catalina, and he didn't know how to use his fish finder, but there's some boats over there, let's go stop by. And
Yeah.
sure enough, we start catching some stuff, and he almost got in trouble a couple times for having not the right regulations for like the stripe stuff and the white stuff.
You mean the right size?
Yeah,
limit and everything else.
yeah. And he'd be like, "Look at these big fish," and like everyone's like, "Dude, those are don't be doing that."
Yeah.
And so he had to learn, and he went and got his
Right.
captain's license and
He
all that.
did?
Yeah.
Oh,
His
wow.
little 6-pack. Him and my mom. They didn't want to take out the family and be stranded out there.
Yeah, right.
So I kind of grew up out on the ocean.
Your father was a Vietnam vet?
Yes, he was. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that he also found refuge in the sea. Just for whatever reason, it grounds you, it calms you, and whether you're on a private boat or a big giant charter boat or whatever, it just seems to ground you, especially when there's no land in sight, and everyone seems to be smiling and picking up the rods, and there was never an argument on our boat.
Yeah.
Well, at least when we were fishing.
Yeah, right.
Docking's a whole different story.
Right. I think a lot of people who are listening can understand exactly what you're saying, because that's exactly what draws them to fishing or scuba diving or snorkeling or just being around the water. As you said, is so peaceful. And if you've had some trauma in your life, I'm assuming your father being a Vietnam vet, you're looking for that. You're looking for some peace and tranquility.
Yeah, just however the universe provides it, you're gonna, once you figure it out, go, hey, this is my outlet, and you're just gonna put your meat hooks in and just run with it. And that's literally what I did. And so I owned during COVID, I owned a travel agency, or before COVID, I should say, I owned a travel agency, and I had to shut it down during COVID, and I got everyone's money back, so don't worry. I was that guy. I got every one of my clients their money back. But then I did a bunch, 400 hours of free labor I don't get paid until they come back from their trips. So,
Yeah, right.
I was just happy that I took care of everybody, and I said, well, now what? So I was really depressed and going, well, I mean, I don't know what to do. So I went over to my dad's house seeking some advice, and I saw two of our old rods sitting, attached in his garage somewhere. I said, hey, Dad, let's go out on a half day or something, and that's where I literally took him out, and he met Helen. And,
Helen's son.
Yeah, Helen's
who's
son.
been on our podcast.
Oh, that's
delightful person.
Yeah, she was one of my bestie fishing buddies throughout COVID, and
So you met her on that trip, and then continued a friendship after that.
Well, it's funny. We met, like, he met her. He talked to everyone on the boat but me. So that's my dad's like that. I take him out to go bond with him, and he
yeah, he's
talks
out
to everybody
with a pretty girl.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, right. Well, he brought her back, so at least I got to give him that. And he's like, hey, check out my son's photography. He's a professional photographer, and so she followed me on Instagram. I followed her back, and I said, oh, cool. Hey, great to meet you. I didn't want to get in trouble with my chick back home, so I was like, hey, I'll keep it right here, Dad. You're going to get me in trouble.
Yeah, right.
And then so, I went fishing and just kind of did my own thing and still seeking my way. And then I met her. I said, hey, shits and giggles, and went down to Fisherman's Landing and did my first overnight and ended up on the Tomahawk. And, man, it was the best time of the year. I think it was August or September, something like that. And, we limited out like real quick. And, but it's sure, she just showed up, I guess, one day. And when I was, loading my stuff, I kind of looked around. I said, oh, hey, I know her. And she looked over, hey, I know you.
That's awesome.
And we've been, friends ever since.
That's great. And you also know Fatima.
Well, I met her through Helen.
Okay, yeah.
Helen called me up one day. Like I said, we go out fishing.
She's also been on here, by the way. Yeah.
I saw. In fact, while I was doing my research, I actually watched both her podcasts because they both said, "Hey, well, welcome to the club."
Yeah, right.
And
that's
I was like,
awesome.
"Oh, that's great."
They were both fantastic guests, as are you. I can tell you that right now.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, it was out of on the Oside 95. Helen called me up and said, "Hey, we're leaving in 4 hours. Do you got time? You want to hop on a day and a half?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's going to be one of my first day and a half trips."
Yeah.
And I'm like, let's do it. And so I hopped on, and she didn't tell Fatima that I was going, and she didn't tell me that she was bringing her.
Oh, how nice.
And so
Nice
we all met. Oh, yeah, great. We all connected right there. In fact, Fatima helped me at my booth for the Long Beach Fred Hall.
Yeah.
So she volunteered for almost the entire week. So,
nice kid.
And she's great. She really is great. She brought a lot of people to my booth. She turned some of my clothes into like female styles.
Oh, nice.
From all the salty dogs wearing it. And,
yeah, right.
And I was like, oh wow, you can do that to a bunch of my stuff and start selling this to the girls.
Yeah. So
she was really good. Like the whole fishing industry, like both of them have been introducing me to people around, and it's because I'm new to this.
Right.
I just got back into it during COVID, just seeking some refuge and
that's when you developed this product.
That's exactly when I developed it.
Yeah.
And
so was there something on the boat that made you think, hey, there's a need for this, obviously?
Well, I mean, it was more so for me. I mean, I don't eat fish. I mean, people laugh at me when I tell them that stuff, that, hey, I'm a fisherman, a hardcore fisherman, and I don't eat fish.
I know a few guys like that, actually.
And that's what everyone seems to say, and I'm like, oh, hey, maybe they'll like my spray.
Yeah.
But I mean...
So you don't like the smell of fish either, is what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah, if it smells fishy, it's not for me.
Right.
I mean, probably shouldn't be for you either. But
And you're not talking about what the sea smells like, because
no, that smells
completely
completely different.
Entirely different than fishy,
yeah,
rancid, right?
Exactly. Well, I mean, like my grandparents told me a saying, hey, when guests come over after 3 days, they start smelling like fish.
Yeah.
So that's never a good thing.
Right.
And so I would go on the boat, and I would notice that I wouldn't eat lunch. I would have my breakfast burrito because we weren't fishing then, and then I wouldn't eat my lunch because I'm like, every time I ordered a burger, I'm like, I put my hands in. I smell squid or sardines or anchovies or even the plastic baits. Well, that didn't really get to me that much. It just smelled like petroleum or something or plastic. I started to go, well, hey, you know what? I'm getting really hungry. My wife at home would say, wow, you come home and famished. You eat like 2 meals. And I said, oh, I don't eat all day. And I'm sitting there fishing in the sun. And she's all, well, why not? And I said, I don't know. My hands smell funky. I don't like it.
Yeah.
But it's worth it to me for the serenity that I get on the water.
Right.
And then I was giving away all my fish. So one of my neighbors was complaining about the rib bones because I said, hey, here I started filleting them myself because it was getting a little costly to have the boat do it.
Yeah.
So actually Helen taught me how to fillet. So so I was sitting there filleting, and then he was complaining about the extra rib meat and the bones, and I say, well, hey, buddy, this is how you do it. You're a grown man. Let me show you how to fillet the rib meat off and say thank you.
Yeah.
So I showed him that,
Exactly.
and I toss it right in the garbage disposal, turn it on, immediately bad mistake.
Yeah.
Because my whole kitchen stank like fish immediately.
Right.
And all I could hear is in my head was my mom and my grandma saying, hey, throw a little lemon peel in the drain, or a little orange peel or citrus peel in the drain, and turn it on. It'll get rid of any smell. And I looked around frantically, and all I saw was a whole lemon. I just threw it in like I was playing golf, like a hole in one, and turned it on, and it took it away immediately. So I said, "Oh, I think I'm onto something."
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
or
right.
girls, I should say.
Right.
And so I started bringing lemons on the boat, and before lunch, I would rip one open and rub it all over my hands and pour some water on it over the side of the boat and go, oh, okay, great, gone. I'm like, okay, boat burger, great. And I started falling in love with the boat burgers and the food on the boats, and then I was like, hey, well, I started bringing a second lemon. So when I got back home and I started catching fish and going, oh, now my hands smell again. Now what? Now it's all over my steering wheel and my seatbelt webbing and my keys and my phone and the wallet and everything. And my wife was complaining that my car smelled like fish for like 2 weeks. And so I was like, well, I mean, I'm not going to rub lemon around my whole car, but I was like, I got to figure something out. I played around with a massage therapist trying to create a massage oil line with them.
Played around with a massage therapist.
I should take that back. With an
your
idea.
Girlfriend's not watching.
Yeah, right. No, with a massage oil line. We were trying to make it for people with cancer and different ailments because he worked holistically with them.
Yeah.
And so we started looking at all the different essential oils and how to kind of make something therapeutic for them. And I helped him do that, and just for fun and just knowledge. I'm a knowledge seeker, so that was stuck in the memory banks. And I said, hey, let me get back to that a little bit and see if I could play with something like that for my hands.
Yeah.
And I sure enough came up with something that seemed to work, and I would bring it on the boats. And like, what better way to write off boat trips than doing R&D on your own product that you're trying to create for yourself? And people would start cornering me on the boats, and I'm going to say, hey, let me get some of that. And so, oh, well, all right, here's a couple squirts. And then I would see my bottle level go down and down and down and down. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'll just bring a couple extra bottles on there. And I didn't have these nice fancy labels. I had like a little piece of white paper tape with a number 13 on it, or number 15. And that was what version I was on, of just kind of
doing the R&D.
Yeah, because people ask me if I'm a chemist. And I said, no, I'm just an alchemist. I'm a creative. I'm a photographer. And I just seek answers to questions. And I'm like, okay, how did this happen? How did that? How do I get to this?
Yeah.
And I just started playing around, and sure enough, the universe provided a chemical engineer for me at no charge, and said, hey, you're onto something here. Let me change some stuff out for you and help you out. And I wanted to stay 100% all natural, and I was having problems with that. And he's like, hey, well, I'm local. Here's all my stuff, and we could change your stuff out. And he took really good care of me. And
that's great.
And so, yeah, I mean, like, just like the fishing community, they all seem to be supporting me. And I haven't had one complaint about my product yet. Let's put it that way.
That's fantastic. I know that Bill Wilkerson, I was over with him. Bill runs the Malahini.
And the Horizon.
He said it works.
Yeah.
Man, I've tried it. It works.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'll go over and see the guy again, because you were so kind to come over and introduce yourself to me, and I told you I think I was running somewhere, but I'd come back the next day.
Exactly.
You didn't believe me, but I was there.
Yeah. No, you came over, and I got all excited, and we talked, and I totally forgot to get a picture with you at the booth.
Yeah, well, you didn't break your phone at least. When photo with me will ruin everything.
Well, I wanted to like when you're at the booth and you're saying, hey, this actually works, and things like that. Like, you're a man of the industry, so with guys like you, that it's like with Western Outdoor, when they wrote an article on me when I gave them a couple of bottles of samples, and I said, hey, let me know if you like it, and if you don't, let me know. And it's the only way I can make it better. And
so what I was gonna myself personally, I don't have any trouble eating a burger with squid all over my hands.
Yeah,
just
of course
because the way I was born, or the way I was raised. But You know, I can remember this, Brandon, so well. My mother saying, "Oh, my brother and I would come back from fishing all day, and we were working on the boats." And she'd say, "Oh God, I hate fish clothes. Just the smell of our clothes." And something like this, can you put this like when you're doing a load of laundry?
Yeah, that's actually one of the many uses that it's a super diverse and multi-purpose. And you just spray your clothes on it and throw it in the wash. Maybe do a couple of squirts in the wash for good luck, and turn use your laundry detergent, whatever it might be, and put it on, and it won't transfer over. It'll be gone. And my wife was saying the same stuff and saying, now my stuff smells like fish because it's the load after
Yeah,
always stinks like fish.
exactly. Drive you crazy,
Yeah,
right?
well, I mean, that was starting to drive me crazy from her driving
Driving you
her crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I know how that works.
well, I mean, hey, I've been with mine for 14, and you've been with yours for
30.
yeah, exactly. I was saying almost double that.
Yeah,
So I mean, we must have figured out the secret.
I guess,
You know,
man, and that's
happy
one
wife,
of them.
happy life, right?
Exactly,
Um,
exactly.
so I mean,
So, just a second ago, Bob Gifford, you just met him.
yeah.
Nice guy. I went to grammar school with him. I've known him for 55 years or whatever it is. We had an ice chest out there, and it was smelling this place up. I dumped all the water, gave it a couple squirts, went out there, gone. Good stuff.
It works like that on anything.
Yeah.
Literally, I tell people it works on everything, and they're like, "Well, what about this? What about this? What about this?" And I said, "Maybe we're not both speaking the same language. When I say everything, I mean everything. Like I haven't found a use that it hasn't worked for yet. And I when I first gave away to all my friends and all the people on the boats, and guys like you, I said, hey, go find something it doesn't work on.
Yeah.
I have mechanics that use it. I got plumbers that use it. People in every walk of life will use it for something.
So the true test, and maybe you've done it, the true test would be the bunk room at 2 o'clock in the morning that's enclosed with a bunch of guys passing gas down there, snoring, that delightful smell
Oh
of a
yeah.
bunk room.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah.
well aerated.
Well,
Have you tried it?
Well, it's funny you asked that question. I'm usually one of the last guys to sleep just because I'm just soaking in whatever I can out there and just staring off in the darkness, and so I go down there and the whole line of boots is down there, and I'll do a couple squirts down the line of boots. Do
you
couple
squirt
squirts
them in the boots?
Yeah, you can squirt it in your fishing
Yeah.
boots and whatever. I mean, like it works so well for me that I'll just do a couple squirts as I walk down the hallway, and then do a couple squirts in the hallway on the way back to my bunk. Do a squirt in my bunk and hop in, and it smells like daisies, baby.
Really?
Yeah, it smells so good.
There's the true test, man.
And,
If it can overcome that, it can overcome anything.
Right. Well, to answer your question, when about 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, if we're not fishing that morning, and my eyes start burning, and it'll wake you up. Those things are like little coffin beds. So I look for my my ball of spray attached to my shoulder, and I grab it, and I literally stick my arm in the hallway, and past my curtain, I do a couple squirts, and do a squirt in my bunk, and it's gone.
That's great.
And I usually will hear someone giggle and go, "Thanks, bro."
Oh, that's funny.
And like I'm like, oh, apparently I'm not the only one.
Yeah,
that doesn't
right.
like
Well, I
other
mean,
people's
yeah,
smell.
right.
Like-
Exactly. How was it received at the show? I mean, you interacted with hundreds, if not more, people, right?
Oh yeah. At least I don't even know. I wish I had one of those little counters.
Yeah.
But I was going so fast, and people were just people at my booth were just like, here's money, here's money. Like,
Yeah.
So apparently everyone
It works.
was in it, and I had a little thing of salmon eggs for the questioners. And the people that wanted to challenge it, and I said, hey, well, how do I know if it works or not? Do you have anything in the booth? I said, here's some salmon eggs. Everyone knows that those things stink. Just a little $3 jar of salmon eggs or
Yeah.
whatever. And I said, hey, try to start a fire. I had BLM next to me, and I said, hey, give these guys something to do and put it out. And they would just sit there and go, oh, that stinks. And I say, hey, which one do you want to try? And I have my 2 different scents. And so they tell me, and I spray their hands, and they couldn't get their money out fast enough.
Wow, that's
and,
great.
And they're like, wow, this is so amazing.
We're a long way from finished with this interview, but right now I think it's a good time to let people know where can they purchase this. They can get it here at 22nd Street.
Yeah,
That's
right.
one place. But
Yeah, right
you
here
have
at
a website
22nd.
or?
I do have a website. So here's my sprays. Somethingsfishy.net. SOMETHINGSFISHY.net. Just like the thing you scoop up your fish out of the water with.
Yeah.
And
And you have different aromas.
yeah,
right?
yeah. So this one's my tropical. It's a salmon color, and my citrus is a yellow color. and the all the directions are right on there. Ingredients are even on there. I have a patent pending, so I'm not worried about saying, hey, this is my secret formula now. For a while I was just saying, hey, no, let's try it out. If you like it, you like it.
Yeah.
Let me know if you like it.
Yeah.
And then people were like, hey, can I buy a bottle? And I said, no, I don't know, man. I only got this one bottle. And so it started telling me, hey, make 4 or 5 bottles at a time. And
sell a couple.
Yeah, so I said, hey, maybe pay for my boat or the burgers or the tip or something. And sure enough, I would bring 3 or 4 bottles every time. I go out weekly, and I come home with sometimes my bottle, sometimes not.
That's great.
And so I said, okay, there is actually a need for this. People are liking it. It's not just a sales tactic, and I'm trying to sell it to you.
Right.
I did have to tell people that it's not just a fish attractant. I mean, there are a couple of attractants built in, happy accident.
Yeah.
I was using it for the antimicrobial purposes. So it for me, I haven't messed around with an alcohol-based hand sanitizer since I developed this.
Really?
In about 1.5 years.
Oh, that's great.
And literally, everyone seems to forget that Mother Nature makes its own cleansers and things like that. But everyone got sucked into this alcohol, for 99 cents a bottle thing, and now your hands stink, or they started doing the basil and the oregano stuff, and it's just like, ugh.
Yeah, right.
So at least my stuff smells good.
Yeah, exactly. Have you given it to the captains and crews and let them try it? And what's been the reaction?
Oh, they loved it. They all love it. I mean, that's part of the fun about going on these boats is you learn about so much things from so many people.
Yeah.
And then people want to know stuff about you and how you could, teach them something. And it's all these salty dogs I've learned how to fish from. And I took my dad out, and he's like, "Wow, you're a professional now." And I said, "No. Like on my shirt, I'm like right here in the middle. Maybe I got my spear, I got my rod, but like every once in a while I venture off into, hey, I got my fish." But
yeah, right.
But then I go learn from guys like you and all, Helen and Fatty and all these other people, and I'm like, oh nope, I'm back down on the scale again. I got my rod, and I got so much more to learn.
Brandon, you've traveled in a lot of countries, and I like travel a lot also. I have also. So let's talk about the Philippines, first of all. How much time did you spend there, and how was it?
I spent about 4 months there,
Yeah.
5 months, something about that. I kind of lost track of time.
Yeah, I get you.
I lived on the island of Mindoro, so you just head south, and we were supposed to go to another island, and we were in a tropical storm, and our boat almost sank.
Oh,
so,
wow.
myself and a couple other the scuba instructors from Thailand, we have to do every 3 months we have to do a visa run, and so we chose the Philippines to go to, and so we went there, and we just all finished our rescue diving course. And I said, "Oh, this is the universe testing us. We get to finally try out a real live rescue."
Oh,
right. There's like 50, 60 people on these little tiny skinny boats where they have like little pontoon floats on them, and they had a big giant plank, and they were bailing water out with buckets and grabbing each other and pulling them back in so they don't get sucked out to sea. I mean, the sea snapped our plank in half and took half of it out to sea. Like it was bad. Like everyone was put on life jackets and praying and crying.
Did that weather come out of nowhere?
Just out of nowhere. It was beautiful weather, and then it just came out, and we were halfway to like 4 different islands, and it just came out of nowhere and just started dumping on us.
There, man. I'm telling you, I got involved in one of those. I was on a bigger ferry boat, but every person on the boat was seasick and a little nervous because it was like crappy weather. And I noticed this one guy who wasn't seasick, and I walked outside, and I was, it was really crappy weather, but I wanted to get some video of the crappy weather. And the guy goes, "Yeah, what are you, a fisherman, or were you in the Navy or something?" And I go, "No, yeah, I fish a lot." And he goes, "Yeah, I was in the Navy. I'm good." And I go, "Yeah, these poor people are dying." Yeah, but I know what you're talking about. He came out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah. Well, me and my friend, one of our buddies actually did get seasick, like you said. And me and my other buddy, we were giggling like little schoolgirls, elbowing each other, going, yeah, okay, this is our game plan. See, our dive gear was all in one bag. And I said, dude, we're going to just push all these little people out of the way, and we're going to grab our dive gear and get it on. And that's safety first for us, and then we could start helping other people if it comes down to it. So we were already figuring out our game plan. That's how serious we were. Like, well, we were looking at the current and going, which island to swim to versus like, hey, that one's the closest one, but don't go to that one, you're never going to make it. Right. So go to that one. It looks like it's the furthest, but we'll get there the closest. Or the fastest. And so we had this whole game plan. We took our training serious because one day it might save a life. Right. And that's I don't know how people are with in the fishing world, but with the scuba diving game, people die all the time.
Right.
So
it happens in fishing quite a bit also. And in fact, you'll have to watch our Desiree Rodriguez. Have you seen it?
I have seen
Well,
that.
I mean, those guys, Mark Paisano and Paul Strasser, own this place.
Wow.
They're the guys who rescued her.
Wow.
And man, what a story, right?
Oh yeah, it was insane. It kind of brought me back to. We didn't find dead bodies floating around like what the whole situation that from that. But I've been across recoveries and stuff, and
Yeah.
and when and a rescue, one rescue, and man, they were, their eyes were bugged out, and we were just like, how are you alive?
Yeah, exactly.
And some people just have that survival. The universe isn't done with you yet.
Right.
So it's like you have something.
Not done torturing you. Yeah. You have to live longer.
Right. You have something left to do on this earth.
Right.
That's going to become some kind of meaningful thing for who knows who or what.
Yeah. If everybody thought the way you're espousing that right now, it'd be a better world, wouldn't it?
Well,
you have some purpose, right?
I feel that way because I've gone through a lot of near-death experiences, and I'm still here. And a lot of them are water related, but so it kind of like,
tell us about one. What's the most harrowing one that you were involved in?
Well, I was river rafting on the Rogue River with my dad when I was a kid. Oh, it was gorgeous. Right? Yeah, in Oregon, and we were on those little tiny. This was when I was a youngster.
Yeah.
So they had those inflatable little orange kayaks. They weren't even hard plastic ones or anything, and we had these little helmets on and little life vests, and we were doing this thing, and he was, "Oh, go where I go," and we were in individual kayaks. So I was, I don't know, maybe 11 or 12, something like that.
You don't even realize that you could die, right?
Oh yeah, we were doing class 3s and 4s, and like no big deal.
Yeah.
And I'm like exhilarated going through these things, and you can almost see, like, when it's like if you're racing or something, you can almost see the pathway on how to take the rapid.
Yeah.
Right. And you just follow everybody else almost if you're not the first one. And I literally just followed exactly where my dad went, and the river just hit the e-brake on me.
Oh my God.
And I just said, "Oh, what's going on?" So I started paddling, and I wasn't going anywhere. So I just started saying, "Hey, well, maybe one side," and then I started spinning, and then I said, "Oh, that's not good." Try the other side. I came to a full stop, and then it started rocking my boat, and then flipped me over, and it sucked me down, and I got caught in a recirculating hole.
Oh my God.
And no one explained to us, if we do get caught in a recirculating hole, how to get out of it.
Yeah.
So I was a body surfer growing up. So I said, I hold my breath forever, but I literally just went, crap, and fell in the water. And so I had no air in my lungs. I was thinking, I'll just bob up and, float down the river. I didn't realize I was going to be underwater for 45, 50 seconds. And it seemed like 5 minutes to me.
And how do you get out of it?
I found out the hard way.
Yeah.
I started getting like that tunnel vision, and my body started getting really warm, and I started, like, I lost the color. It literally went black and white on me, and it started getting smaller and smaller. And I said, "Oh, you win." I said, I accept it. I'll be part of the river from now on.
Yeah.
And then my body just went limp, and it went, spit me out. And because I was just fighting, and it was just, I said, "Oh, hey, there's the surface. Oh, there's a big rock. Hey, there's a fish. Oh, there's the surface, rock, fish, surface, rock, fish, surface, rock, fish."
Oh my God.
And I just kept going around in circles like that. And finally my body just gave, said, "Hey, dude, I'm done. I have no more oxygen left in me. You depleted it all." And so I just said, "All right, cool. I lose, you win." And I just relaxed and went limp, and I just felt it like release me. And I opened one eye, and I just saw, well, I guess that's about 6 or 8 feet of water. I'm all like, think I got it in me. And I just started reaching like I'm climbing a ladder to the heavens, and like literally might have been.
Yeah, right.
And my dad said I popped up, pretty much when I popped up almost to my ankles out of water. So it looked like I was almost, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like I looked like I was standing on water.
Yeah, right.
And then I, went back down, and they kept telling me, "Oh, we kept seeing the top of your helmet," and that was it. And and I said, I had no air in me at all. And
so did they come and rescue at that point? Or
what? Yeah, by the time I popped up,
were you unable to swim?
Oh, I was beat. I was
done,
just like, I literally just grabbed my vest and just kind of floated on my back and let I was like, well, I got a helmet on. I'm off. I start knocking into the rocks. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And kind of looked up, and everything kind of came into focus, and I saw our guide running up the bank with a rope with a floaty on it. And was tossing it to me, and I just grabbed it and ended up in the supply raft for pretty much the rest of the trip.
Wow.
And I haven't gone river rafting since.
I don't blame you.
But I mean, it's been on my list to go back and do. I just haven't
you
had
gotta
the
get back
time.
on the horse, right?
There's only so much time in a day and so many things, and I'm such a curious person. Where I find something, I'll just rush, head into it. I'm used to living underwater, so it's I could figure things out no matter what I do.
Right. How was Thailand? You lived there also, right?
Oh yeah, I lived there. That's where I taught mainly scuba diving, and I did a bunch of underwater photography from when I went to Brooks Institute of Photography. That's what I fell in love with, is doing underwater photography. So I went out there and I said, hey, how can I travel the world and do underwater photography? I said, oh, hey, maybe if I become a scuba instructor and an underwater photographer, I could just kind of cruise around the entire world and have someone pay me for it. And I didn't realize we get old.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? I'm like, well,
what are you talking about?
Well, I mean, I'm 41 now, but I mean, I was 20, in my early 20s, mid 20s back then. And and I was like, oh, I don't, you can pay me with food and shelter and beer. I'm good with that. And then I didn't realize that, well, at some point I'm going to want to go home and I'm not going to have anything.
Yeah.
So I had to figure out a different plan of action.
Did you eat a lot of street food in Thailand? Because I loved
That's all I ate.
Yeah, it was great.
That's all. I mean, every once in a while I ate at a restaurant, but I ate off the street carts every day, at least twice a day. I get those little rice squares on a stick, or the fruit was amazing. I fell in love with my favorite fruit there. I want to have a rambutan farm now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You know what rambutan is?
I do.
That's my favorite fruit in the world. And people are like, what is that?
Yeah, I know, right?
It's those fruits that have look like have a bunch of spikes on them. They're like maroon and green.
Exactly.
And they look all sharp, and they're not.
Do you get them here still?
You can find them here.
I know you can. Yeah,
every once in a while.
I mean, are you still crazy about it?
Oh yeah, of course. Whenever I find them, I buy the place out. Because I was used to in Thailand, the truck would drive by like with kind of like how we have the gardeners here with all the wood and stuff, and they have them filled with rambutan straight from the farm, and you just stop them off and you throw them some baht, and which is Thailand's money. And currency, exactly. And I just throw a bunch in a bag for me, and I just sit there and eat that all day long.
Oh, that's great.
And I fell in love with Thai food before Thailand, and so I'm like, oh, I'm in the Mecca. This is amazing.
Right.
So I was eating everything I could, except for I had to learn how to say like no fish sauce.
Yeah.
Because I found out I was allergic to fish sauce. So I mean, it worked out for me. I figured out. I saw how they made it, so I was like, oh,
I'll pass. Right?
Yeah, I'll pass. I mean, it tastes great. Awesome, great for you guys.
But
great
I'm allergic to it, right?
Yeah, I'm allergic, so I had to learn how to say that, and sometimes I got that right, and sometimes I said no water.
So
exactly. I mean, it's really
like
similar.
Mandarin. My Chinese is terrible, so I know exactly the trouble I get into.
Right.
You spent some time in Israel also, didn't you?
Yeah.
How was that?
Oh, Israel is one of my favorite places in the world. I could definitely move there, live there.
Really?
A lot is like Cancun and like all year round.
Yeah.
I love it up there. Tel Aviv is like if you took like LA and Chicago and a little bit of New York and kind of squish it all together. And
it's very cosmopolitan.
Oh yeah. But I mean, just everything you look around, you kind of like, oh, okay, that's the attitudes of everyone, and it's everyone. They live for the day because you never know.
Right, exactly. Especially there, right? You're surrounded by enemies within that part of the world.
But it's the funny thing is that when you're there, you don't even think about that stuff.
Yeah.
Like you literally, I think one or two times I saw like a danger mine sign or something like that, and I had to have that one for the wall.
Yeah,
so, right. Don't tell them that. But yeah, so I got that one for the wall. But yeah, I mean it's the Mediterranean right there. So I was body surfing, and people, all the Israelis were like, "Whoa, what is this? What are you doing? How are you doing that?" And they were like only like little 2-3 foot waves, but I was pushing off the bottom and just cutting left or right.
Really cool.
And so I ended up getting 15-20 people to start doing that there, and I create my little following, and then I'm like, all right, I've done my job. I'm out. Go walk around in Jerusalem for a while, go learn the history of everything, go, say a prayer, and go, shove a little prayer in the wall for somebody. And, I never pray for myself. I always pray for other people. I figure that's when they actually get hurt.
Right, exactly.
So
bringing it back here, are you nuts about fishing now?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh, you are.
100%.
So you got the bug.
I did. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am. Yeah. I have the bug. I don't know what else to call it. That's a great term for it.
Yeah. I mean, it is. They say if you get it in your veins, the salt water never gets out. You just get addicted to it. And I almost sounding like I'm talking about my religious faith now. I've fallen away from fishing a few times in my life. When I was going to school, university, got real serious about that for a little while, and not too long, as evidenced by my mentality or lack of. But I always come back to it, and now I just see people who fish as really good, grounded, decent people, like Helen, like Fatima, like Mark Paisano, who I just saw a second ago, like Mike Morrison. They're good people. They care about others. They work really hard. They're good family people. And man, I mean, you fit right in because of that. They're just good people, man.
Seems like everyone seems to be pretty rounded people. They're not just like, oh, that's all I've done is been around here. People seem to be all over the world and fish, or at least down in Baja, and seeing what real poverty looks like, and are very grateful for what they have. And
that's a good point you make, because a lot of people are afraid to cross the border into Mexico. I'm not one of them, and I've been going since I was 17. I drove to Laredo, which is 700 miles. My mom said, "Yeah, go for it. You'll have a good time." And so I'm not one of those people. But the fishing community, those guys are down, and they've been going to Mexico for years and years and years and years. Guys that deck on the boats in San Diego, guys that are captains, man, they're going down there. They're surf fishing. They're fishing on the pangas. They're doing the whole thing down there. So this community, man, they've been very international, at least with that country. And I see a lot of that going on with captains. And now they travel everywhere. There's one guy, I forget who it was, but he's down in Sinaloa, which has a reputation of being pretty dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
But he's down there fishing one of the Great Lakes. They have some wonderful bass fishing down there. So I love that whole thing too.
I'll have to check it out next time
I'm
in Puerto
Brandon.
Vallarta. Hey, well, where are we going?
Man, well, I'm going to Puerto Nuevo here on April 22nd.
Awesome.
And so I'll be down there, and we just shipped down thousands of pieces of clothing to Ensenada. That's going to go to Cedros. We took donations for a year, gathered all this stuff, and we're going to take it down to a poverty-stricken area and pass it out, play Santa Claus.
Oh, right on. I just pretty much did something similar to that with Fishers of Men West Coast, where we went down to La Mission. And
you went on that?
Yeah.
How was that?
Oh, it was an eye opener, and I felt overjoyed to be able to. I was one of the fitters, so I was on my knees, literally putting shoes on these people's feet.
Beautiful.
And I've always been a humble person. I guess just from seeing everything out, I've been blessed to see everything outside of this country and learn how to be humble. And that was one of the most, coolest experiences be able to do that.
Can you talk a little bit more about it? Jack is the guy who runs that. Captain Larry Moore. I don't know if you met him. He's involved in it very much. But La Mission, there's some poverty down there, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, there's a couple little areas down in there, and there's a little ejido over there that there's some Americans that I guess work with them, and they were all, I don't know how they did all their coordination for their logistics to get everything down there, like you were saying. But I just showed up, and they did all the hard work. All I did was show up and move some boxes out of the truck and put some shoes on people's feet, and help them smile and say, hey, go right this way to the next spot. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I told them, I say, hey, I had a blast. I can't wait to help you out next year. And if there's anything I could do with you guys on this, I'm more than happy.
Down there with us.
I hope you do.
Okay,
in fact, there's no might. Like, let me know. I'm there.
Okay, good.
And
because I think we're gonna need some help on this one for sure.
Please just well, you got my number. Let me know.
Yeah, definitely.
Hopefully, more than just like 3 or 4 hours in advance.
Yeah, no, we'll give you at least a couple days.
Perfect.
Days,
hey, that works for me.
We'll give you a couple weeks.
That works. But yeah, I mean, it's and you mentioned that since you were 17, you were going down there.
Yeah.
Actually, on June 17th, I'm actually one of the sponsors for Salty Addicts for their Battle of the Pungas too.
Oh, great!
I went down on the first Battle of the Pungas.
So we just had, I forget his name.
Joe.
Joe, he was on. Did you see?
I watched it. Yeah.
Joe was great.
I even told him. I said,
really
"Hey,
nice guy."
I said that was a great one, and actually, I think that was one of the first ones I actually did see because
Joe Gallardo, right?
Yeah.
Great guy, Joe. What's happening, man?
Hey, I told you I'd throw you a shout out. But yeah, I mean, I'm one of the sponsors of them. Even those guys everyone seems to be opening me with welcome arms on this stuff, and And I think also because of, everyone saw it with CCA and Mission Fish with Brian and San Diego Anglers and I'm if you have the right charities that you work with, the right kind of people. I'm from a military town. I have family that are disabled, so it's it tugs at a heartstring.
Sure,
so I'm
sure.
more than happy to give my product out to them, to take them fishing and to do different things. And I found out that with people with like kind of missing limbs and stuff, they put on all the prosthetics and they take it off and it smells a little funky. I had no idea.
Yeah.
One of my Marine buddies from San Clemente, I gave him a bottle and he told me, he's like, yeah, I sprayed on my nub. I'm like, oh, I don't want to hear about that.
Yeah.
And he's like, no,
But
no,
it's
no.
the
Like,
reality.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, he told me, he's all, dude, I'm not self-conscious about it. And he's all, it's not the artificial limb that he's self-conscious. It was the smell of when he kind of walked by people, everyone kind of like, hey, what's that cheesy smell? Or, what's that funky smell or whatever. And it's, he sprayed it on there and it took it away. I said, oh, wow, I guess that's one more use for it.
Yeah, well, why not, right?
Hey, if it works for your pits and your shoes, well, I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less.
Absolutely. All right, Brandon, it's been a pleasure, my
Pleasure.
friend.
Thank you very much.
Time. Look out there and let everybody know where they can get Somethings Fishy.
Somethingsfishy.net. Follow me on Instagram, Somethingsfishy 2020. And I'm even on Facebook now, Somethings Fishy.
Brandon,
I appreciate you.
Something tells me this is not the last time I'm going to see you, my friend.
I hope not.
Totally enjoyed
I hope not.
This.
Thank you very much.
Great new product, everybody. Check it out here at 22nd Street Landing or go to Brandon's website. Brandon, thanks again.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Appreciate it, man.
Take care.